Are you ready for more Star Wars adventure? Our friends over at the Dorky Diva Show present a feature-length audio drama, The Adventures of the Zolan Dart. It's coming soon. If you want more information, head over to the dorkydivashowpresents.com and enjoy the trailer coming up next.
Shout! We've got your pigs.
Were any of the critters harmed?
What did you do now?
I didn't do anything. I just freaked out for no reason.
It was nice doing business with you again. Maybe next time we could deliver something less... temperamental.
Now, what you call temperamental, I call fun.
Hey, is there a place nearby where I can make some repairs?
3 clicks south of here, you'll find a small spaceport. They should have what you need, as long as it's nothing too big.
Dynamic class? My stars, you don't hear about many of those still being space-worthy.
It's been in my family for a while.
She's pretty great. Any chance you have a hover cart we can use to load up?
I'll check out the HoloNet to see if anything new has come up in the sector.
My name is Sereth Khan. I am the chief here on Kamai. My people and I have been experiencing food shortages as of late due to unforeseen natural occurrences. We are looking to hire someone.
I say we take this one. The pay is great, and it's the type of job we're familiar with.
Welcome. You must be Captain Otoa. I've already sent word to Pack 2 to expect you in the next cycle or so.
You told him we were coming before we even accepted the job. That's rather presumptuous, isn't it?
Perhaps, though once I received confirmation that you were interested and on your way here, I couldn't help but hope.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Well, that's not good.
Is that blaster fire I hear?
So you're the one.
Captain, it sounds like they want to do this the hard way.
I love when they got some fight in them.
This is bad. This is bad. We're about to have a lot of company.
I'll see you soon.
Hi, this is Savannah.
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show.
And you're listening to Starboars.
The best place for below-average Star Wars.
Welcome to Starboars, the best place for below-average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. This is our first episode since the tragic passing of Dave Prowse. Dave died at age 85 and is a Star Wars legend. Dave, of course, played Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy. I think the best words were said by George Lucas in memory of Dave. George said that Prowse had an imposing stature and movement performance to match the intensity and undercurrent of Vader's presence. He was up for anything and contributed to the success of what would become a memorable, tragic figure. George went on to say that Prowse brought a physicality to Darth Vader that was essential for the character. He made Vader leap off the page and onto the big screen. May he rest in peace. And obviously for us in the UK, he was of course the Green Cross Code Man, which I don't remember because I was too young for that, but he was essentially part of videos here in the UK that went out across all schools, teaching kids how to cross the road safely. Sort of a superhero type character. Have you seen those videos, Ian?
I haven't, mate. No, I'm more of the hedgehog videos that we used to see.
Yeah, so the hedgehog. So for those who don't know, the hedgehog was like an animated dancing hedgehog, which was also very cool. That taught kids how to cross the road safely. But before our time, sort of before I think it was before Star Wars. Yeah, he was sort of this Green Cross Code Man, and he's a lot of people's generations go-to person of learning how to cross the road safely and being aware of sort of the errors of the road. I never met Dave Prowse. I started doing conventions, and I haven't done loads in around 2015. And I think David was wrapping up around that point. Because I know he'd been retired from conventions for a couple of years before he passed away. Have you ever met him at any conventions?
No, I haven't, mate, to be fair. But obviously, a living legend, and it's sadly missed.
Definitely, yeah. I think obviously, he got to age 85, which is nothing to be sort of sniffled at. He sort of was a part of everybody's life. If you think he was like, as Darth Vader, oh, my voice is going there. As Darth Vader, obviously James Earl Jones is the voice, but like that presence on screen and the turns and the way sort of the helmet would move a bit and look at you, or look at the screen even, or look at characters. When Vader would use the Force, sort of the way he would use his arms, all that physicality, sort of bringing sort of subtle nuances and telling the story of sort of lost hope and sort of a tortured soul, as well as a fierce warrior, sort of all in this man's movements on set. That was captured on camera. I think definitely a legend for me. As I said, sad that he's gone, but he leaves behind a absolutely brilliant legacy.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, 100%. And he seemed like everyone who's obviously talked about him seems to say he was a lovely, lovely guy. Very humble guy as well. I know he started as a bouncer and all that type of thing in clubs around. I don't know. Is he from Bristol?
I believe he's from Bristol. Yeah,
bouncer around the clubs in Bristol. So yeah, seemed a very nice man.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm trying to think. Stephen Merchant, I think possibly, has come up with a story saying that his dad once got bounced out of the club by Dave Prowse.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
So got escorted from a nightclub by bouncer Dave Prowse, which is quite a cool story to tell. And in that story as well, Stephen Merchant wanted to say that, it wasn't like the bouncers of today where they sort of rough you up, fight you. He sort of escorted him out peacefully, stopped all the fights that were happening and escorted him out peacefully, which is like a true gentleman. Which is, just goes to show the type of character he was.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, 100%.
So today's episode is dedicated to the memory of Dave Prowse. Rest in peace, mate. And now getting back on to what we're going to be talking about today, which is that the Walt Disney Company's Investor Day event is what it's being called. It was sort of like a investor call type thing.
Yeah, they do one every year, but obviously this one, obviously with COVID and that, I don't think they've had the chance to. They normally do their announcements, obviously. Obviously we've had Star Wars Celebration this year, this Comic-Con for Marvel and all that type of thing. So I think it was more. I think this one's probably the most news heavy one we've ever seen.
Yeah, and it was very much like a presentation as well. It was it wasn't just sort of facts and figures and bar charts and pie charts for the investors. It was sort of, there was a bit of that and talking about that, but it was very much a sort of a presentation of sort of future products coming from the Disney company and its sister companies. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy was on hand, and she announced a staggering number of new films, series, and surprises. Basically, the Star Wars universe is going to be expanded like never before, really, especially on in canon and on the big screen and the small screen. I think diving in straight away, sort of first thing that got announced for me, which caught my eye, was Rogue Squadron. So the next Star Wars feature film will be Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins, who's of course the director behind the Wonder Woman franchise. Obviously, Wonder Woman 1984 is due to hit theatres on the 16th of December in the UK and on Boxing Day in the United States, I believe. The story will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing high-speed thrill ride and move the saga into a future era of the galaxy. Patty Jenkins went on to say that it's been a lifelong dream as a filmmaker to one day make a great fighter pilot film. As the daughter of a great fighter pilot herself, some of her best memories of her life are seeing our father's squadron take off in the F4s every morning, and hearing and feeling sort of the awe-inspiring power and grace of like those fighter jets. And sort of there's a cool video where she released on her sort of Twitter and Instagram where she's sort of rollerblading. She goes to her car and she's talking about, her father and the memories of the jets taking off. And then we see her sort of put a helmet on all of a sudden, and all of a sudden her overalls turn to red. And then she starts walking towards an X-Wing, which is a T-65 X-Wing, I believe.
It is, yeah.
And also in the logo for Rogue Squadron, which might not be the official logo, but the logo Lucasfilm used in the presentation is Rogue Squadron. And then in those words, I believe, is a T-65 silhouette.
Yes, I've seen people say everything. It could be a T-70, T-75, T-85. But obviously, we'll get into this in a minute. Like, obviously, with Kathleen Kennedy saying about the new era it's ushering in, there's a debate to see where this might fall on the actual timeline. But we'll get into that in a minute. Like, but yeah, I'm really surprised they're doing a Rogue Squadron film. I'm happy. Like, I think it's a like a really good idea. And to be fair, like the one film I feel like they've got the space combat right in the new Disney ones is Rogue One, and the space battle in Rogue One is probably my favourite one. It sometimes like swaps with Endor in Return of the Jedi, but the space battle in Rogue One is absolutely tremendous. So if they're able to bring that onto screen for a full movie, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah, I think like for me, that space battle in Rogue One is absolutely fantastic. As was, I thought the space battle, although it's very short at the beginning of The Last Jedi with the bombers, was fantastic as well.
Not the biggest fan of that, to be fair. Not the biggest fan, but we won't get to a Last Jedi type of thing. I didn't really like the bomber design, but I can see, with the A-wings and the TIE fighters and the Poe Dameron stuff, I like that. I'm not the biggest fan of the bombers used in Last Jedi. But
well, each
I know, yeah. But that's the thing. In The Force Awakens, we got the the little battle at Starkiller Base, and then The Rise of Skywalker, we got the big scale battle, but it wasn't very what's the word? Intimate.
No, it wasn't very intimate at all in The Rise of Skywalker, was it? It's just a case of he has loads of ships firing lasers.
Literally every model we've got digitally, we'll just stick in this fleet. I love the moment. Don't get me wrong. I love the moment of seeing all them ships, but it's not. It's like it's like an Avengers moment type thing, and
But even then, at least when you see those Avengers, you've seen them in other movies, so you've got that emotional attachment. Where this was like, we don't even know who's piloting all these ships.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So that emotional connection sort of wasn't there. But yeah, I mean, like for me, I get the feeling that obviously, reading between the lines, I think Patty Jenkins has gone in to speak to Lucasfilm. She's proven herself as a sort of one of the leading directors in Hollywood in the industry today. And as I said, she's referenced sort of our past to our father and our father's squadron flying these F4 planes in the American military. And maybe she's pitched this movie, and the pitch has wowed Lucasfilm and Disney. So they've gone, yes, let's make it. As for when it's set, I don't know whether to take Kathy's words of saying it's like a new era to mean a new era of canon or a new era for Star Wars filmmaking.
I tend to lean towards it's going to be after Return of the Jedi, maybe. I just don't see them doing anything post Rise of Skywalker. Not yet, anyway. I just think maybe because obviously Dennis Lawson came back for Rise of Skywalker, so if it was going to be post Rise of Skywalker, then he could obviously be the mentor type thing like he is in the books. Obviously, he's the leader of Rogue Squadron in the books, which we'll get onto in a minute. Because I'm just reading a tweet from the author, Michael A. Stackpole, who wrote the Rogue Squadron books in the old Star Wars Legends Day. I was just reading a tweet from there. Where'd it go? I can't find it now, but I remember it from the other day. It said, how do you gain so many followers overnight? Have Lucasfilm announce a Rogue Squadron movie. So he had a little joke about it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think why would you need a Rogue Squadron when they told the story of the war now being over at the end of Rise of Skywalker? For me, I think in that logo it is a T-65, in my opinion. Those engines are round on each wing rather than half a round in the later models, the T-70 and onwards.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's like a New Republic X-Wing because on Star Wars Resistance we see the new X-Wings, and I definitely don't think it's that type of X-Wing, to be fair.
Yeah, so I honestly believe it's a T-65, so I think we'll probably... And to call it Rogue Squadron has a very specific meaning in canon of what squadron that is.
The elite.
So I've got a feeling that is what it's going to be. But I'm not too bad about that side of it. I think it's just obviously getting like a fighter pilot movie is fantastic. Obviously, Rogue Squadron arrives in theaters Christmas 2023. Is what they've said, and they've said that's the next Star Wars movie. So I'm sort of glad we're getting it might lead to a series of movies, but I'm glad we're getting a movie that's like not connected sort of thing. Like, I think it's going to be fun to go and watch this movie Christmas 2023. Like I said, I can't wait to see some X-Wings sort of taking out TIE fighters, taking out pirates, taking out Star Destroyers. We're probably going to see some get blown up. So that could be sad as well.
I was reading a thing with Patty Jenkins saying, obviously, I've just started reading the first Rogue Squadron book. I've never read it before, but and she has said, she has gone on to be quoted to say that the Rogue Squadron movie, although it will be a completely new story, it will take influence from the books and the comics because they're one of the most highly regarded books and comics from the old EU. So it's good to say she might use some of that stuff. Maybe use a few characters from them. I'm not quite sure, but it's good that they will have some part in these new films.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they'll pick and choose what fits and what doesn't. I mean, it's just an idea, but I think obviously one thing it is canon, so they're going to have to tie into that sort of Rogue Squadron story that's in the new Star Wars run that started in 2015.
Yeah, the comic. Yeah, obviously in canon, Rogue Squadron is named after obviously the Rogue One crew. Luke Skywalker, obviously, it's in one of the, I can't remember what issue the comic is, but he's talking to Wedge and he's like, "Oh, we need to act a bit more off the cuff, like Jyn Erso." So and then he says, "Rogue Squadron form up." And then I haven't read the book yet, but then apparently, obviously, in Empire Strikes Back, there's Rogue Leader and there's Rogue 2. There's no Rogue One. And they retired the Rogue One call sign, obviously, in honour of the Rogue One crew. That's from a certain point of view in the Empire Strikes Back book, which I haven't had a chance to read yet, but I have seen that online, which is a nice tie-in. I'd love to see a tie-in, some sort of mention of the Rogue One crew in the film. And that's why it's named Rogue Squadron.
Would be fantastic, even if they just did it in the opening credits or something, just showed you a sort of a flashback to what happened during the Battle of Scarif, maybe. So I mean, for me, I'm excited about it. I think getting essentially a whole movie about a fighter squadron in the Star Wars universe is fantastic. Gets us away from the Force and sort of tied into that sort of Jedi storyline, which, even though The Mandalorian promised sort of to be something different, it's very much dialed back into the Force idea and the history of the Jedi, which I love because I love that. But I think this is going to be something different, and I think that's again what she means by a new era. So I think definitely exciting times, and I definitely recommend anyone who hasn't seen it go to Patty Jenkins' Twitter account and watch that video, because I get the impression she made that herself, because I don't think it went up.
No, she released it after they announced, and they've obviously Star Wars have retweeted it since. But she announced it on her social media as soon as Kathleen Kennedy obviously announced the Rogue Squadron movie. And you are right, it's an awesome movie, and I've heard she doesn't do projects that she doesn't believe in. So for her to truly believe in this, I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think she's pitched it. They've been wowed by it. And I think very excited.
Obviously, her dad was obviously she covers it in the video. Her dad was a fighter pilot in the U.S. military, and he died in service to his country. So obviously, it's a very important film for her. Obviously, she's always wanted to make one to honour her dad. So if she's putting all this effort and she's got that behind her, I think it'll be amazing.
Definitely. So they've announced that will be the next Star Wars movie, which means that the untitled Taika Waititi film is now being sort of, I wouldn't say pushed back, but it's no longer the next movie coming out. What they have said is that a brand new Star Wars feature with acclaimed filmmaker and Academy winner Taika Waititi is in development. Taika's approach to Star Wars will be fresh, unexpected, and unique. His enormous talent and sense of humour will ensure that audiences are in for an unforgettable ride. For me, I think obviously because of COVID, Thor 4, Love and Thunder, is behind. He needs to finish that up for the Disney Company first. So I think it's just a case of, because of that, we're going to have to start your movie late, and that's not a problem. And here we are with a project from Patty Jenkins that's wowed us. So we'll go ahead and greenlight that because she's wrapped that Wonder Woman movie. It's coming out soon. I don't believe she's signed on for Wonder Woman 3. So, and even if she was, it would come later, probably after whatever next Justice League movie is, if they do one. So yeah, the Taika, not really any news for the Taika, just that it's still coming.
There was,
and just sort of that he's going to get, I wouldn't say free reign, but they're going to allow his sense of humour and sort of his style and approach to come through the story, which is very exciting.
Yeah, the only thing we saw from it was obviously the logo, which was a blue and pink Star Wars logo, which is interesting. Obviously, very, very Taika Waititi style. And we also saw an image behind Kathleen Kennedy of like a planet, and it was all multicoloured and all that type of thing. But it looked like, I can't remember what they're called. There's a novel from the old EU called Dawn of the Jedi. And the thing on it looked a lot like what's on the cover of Dawn of the Jedi book. And obviously, it did. Yeah, it's like.
Is it like a prism, like a pyramid type prism type thing?
Or it looked like the Mortis obelisk from Clone Wars. So maybe we're getting into, because obviously Benioff and Weiss were going to tell a story about the origins of the Jedi before they got fired, whatever that was about. So maybe Taika is going to be telling the story of like the origin of the Jedi, maybe?
Maybe. I think with Taika, like, it could be absolutely anything. Which is exciting because it means like you've got no idea what he could be doing. I think like I'm glad it hasn't got a release date. I'm glad they're not pushing it early. I'm glad that I'm finishing up his other obligations first. And like I said, if they've got this Rogue Squadron film ready to go, then they may as well push ahead with that and then leave Taika the time. I'm sure he's got a Academy Award-winning writer from 1917 working on it with him as well. So it gives them more time on the script and then more time in pre-production as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, yeah, like I said, not a lot to go on with that. But it was really funny. I was looking on Instagram the other day and he put up a picture of the Star Wars announcement and he wrote, as a long-time fan of Star Wars, I'm so angry about what I'm about to do to ruin it, which is pretty funny. Because literally, whatever anyone does, there's a section of the fan base who'll think it's ruined Star Wars. So it's good to see he has a sense of humour, which we all know he does.
Definitely, I think like taking a shot at like the fandom menace there as well, like sort of saying like look like it's just people making Star Wars.
People aren't gonna. There's a certain selection of like the fan base that just don't seem to like anything.
Yeah.
So
moving on from that, we had Obi-Wan Kenobi. So last August at the D23 Expo, Lucasfilm announced the return of Ewan McGregor in the iconic role of Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi for a special event series on Disney+. It's now officially titled Obi-Wan Kenobi. We got the logo, which is sort of a cross between the old prequels text in the middle with the two lines above and beyond it. And I also noticed the eye on the logo is the Kenobi lightsaber handle, which is very cool. So it's officially titled Obi-Wan Kenobi now. The series begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where he faced his greatest defeat. sort of the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader. So although Obi-Wan won the battle, the actual lightsaber duel, Obi-Wan didn't really win because, like I said, like he lost everything that day. He lost his best friend. He lost his Jedi Order, lost his family. The galaxy lost its sort of freedom and
let the greatest enemies control the galaxy.
Yeah. So obviously this series is directed by Deborah Chow, who obviously did a great job Mandalorian season 1. And also she announced that Hayden Christensen will return as Darth Vader. And she used the words, "This will be the rematch of the century." So, I mean, I'm glad that it's got a title, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I would have seen that coming.
Love it. Yeah. I'm glad it's not called like Obi-Wan Kenobi Chronicles or
I'll get onto that later because there is one show that got announced that should have the word Chronicles in it, but we'll get onto that later. But yeah, the Obi-Wan Kenobi one. Yeah.
And then I liked glad that Hayden Christensen is coming back. I've been wanting him back since the sequel trilogy, really. To come back as sort of a Force ghost, a voice. And I think, like, whether he's going to be a physical presence or not, I thought having him back for this series is brilliant because Obi-Wan would probably spend a lot of time thinking about him. So whether it's in flashbacks or Obi-Wan's thoughts, he would be picturing Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader. So we're probably hopefully going to get some of that. And then also, if we actually get him physically as Darth Vader as well, that is, again, like a double whammy for me.
Yeah, I have
so
to believe that they wouldn't announce him to come back if they were just going to have Vader in the suit. So I 100% believe, I think we'll see flashbacks to the Clone Wars. I think we'll see flashbacks of them training maybe in their life. Because obviously, it doesn't take a lot to... Ewan McGregor's aged really well. Hayden Christensen, if with a bit of makeup and his hair in like the old Clone Wars style, it won't take a lot to make them look like they did in the prequels. So yeah, I'd have to believe that we're going to see Anakin. I have to believe that we'll see Vader without his helmet on at some point, maybe back in his fortress on Mustafar or something. So yeah, go on, mate.
Well, how about this? How about like, you know, one of the awesome creepy visuals from Rogue One was Vader in the back of the tank. So what if we get a similar sequence, but it's like Hayden Christensen Vader in the back of the tank, getting his suit on before he flies off to meet someone.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have to believe that we will see Hayden in the makeup all scarred up and that. Obviously, Darth Vader's not a happy guy, so I think we might see some scenes with him without the helmet on. Like, obviously, we know what about, but obviously, yeah, I have to believe that.
Yeah, so definitely. So for me, I want flashbacks to Jedi Anakin. I want Darth Vader wrecking shop like he does in Rogue One. And then I also want a Vader unmasked scene as well with Hayden. I want all three. I'm being greedy. I want all three.
I've seen a rumor, obviously, that Vader will be a villain, but there'll be also another villain, and it'll be a group of clones led by Commander Cody. Apparently, Tamura Morrison signed up for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So I have seen that obviously that Cody could be leading a task force of clones, Jedi hunters. Obviously, the history with Cody and Obi-Wan. So that'd be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder how many clones are left in service 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, but it'll be interesting to see. I think big hard job for Tamura to sort of now depict these characters as different characters, look the same. I think he's up for the challenge though. But like that will be a hard job, but it will, if he pulls that off, it will set him out as a brilliant actor.
I think they'll have to de-age him for that. Yeah, to be fair, no, I don't think he will, because if it's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, I think Cody will be roughly around the same age Tamura is now.
Yeah, because you've got to remember that sort of Tamura as Boba Fett, he's got a lot of like scarred up makeup on there.
Yeah.
So like if you take all that off, give him some hair, like he looks different than if Tamura managed to pull the performance off.
Nailed it as Boba, to be fair. So
Yeah, so that will be good. So yeah, like I think just I'm glad Hayden's back.
Me too,
it means
mate.
a lot to me, sort of as someone who loved the prequels. I'm really pleased, really pleased that he's back. I think him and Hewan are going to do a great job together. And I'm excited to see what Deborah Chow does with them.
Ewan said the other day, he said the best thing about doing Kenobi again is to work with Hayden again, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on from that, we had the announcement of Ahsoka. After making her long-awaited live-action debut in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano's story, written by Dave Filoni, will continue in a limited series starring Rosario Dawson and executive produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. One thing I want to talk about straight away is that they released this Ahsoka logo. So just looking at the word Ahsoka to start with, the O is very much like the staff she has at the end of Rebels, the top bit. So there's that, and then I also noticed that there's a star chart in the middle, which reminded me of the loading screen from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And then there's also on either side of the star chart, there's Jedi writing that reminded me of the scene seat from the Mandalorian episode featuring Grogu when he's calling out the Jedi before he gets captured.
Yeah, definitely, and also the star chart behind it reminds me a lot of the World Between Worlds from Star Wars Rebels.
Yes, definitely, yeah, them circles. So sort of, although they didn't really give them much information except for the fact that Dave Filoni's writing it all and the fact that it's being executive produced by Dave and John, we got and Rosario Dawson's obviously back as the character. We got no other information, but this logo, it's the busiest logo they've given her, and it feels very on point for a purpose. So for me, the logo really got me excited because it was well, is that a star chart? Is it the World Between Worlds? Is it a mix of, are we going to see maybe the Zepho? Or are we going to get stories of the Zepho, which of course were mystical force-wielding beings from before the times of the Jedi, from thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, which are depicted in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the video game. In the scene seat, does that date back to a similar time? Because also in that episode, the scene seat, it reminded me of one of the spheres, and there was a lot of spheres in the Zepho culture.
Yeah, definitely. I could see it being Zepho related. The only thing we know about the show is that it's set within the timeline of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, so for me, that says to me that we're going to see why she's going after Grand Admiral Thrawn, why she wants that information, and is it because of Ezra?
Yeah, because obviously there's a lot of theories going around. Obviously, the Mandalorian finale is on Friday this week coming, and obviously I tend to believe there's going to be a Jedi appear at the end. Obviously, that call from Grogu went out to someone, so I'm guessing, and then a lot of people have said it could be Ezra Bridger, but then if she's looking for Thrawn, I have to believe that Ezra Bridger is still with Thrawn. So,
yeah.
And also they did say that obviously we haven't talked about it yet, but obviously there's the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Rangers of the New Republic, which are all going to intersect to go forward to one big event. So I wonder if obviously the Thrawn name drop in the Ahsoka, basically the Ahsoka pilot in the Mandalorian, it's like a bit of a backdoor pilot. I wonder if that is also going to, if the Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, and Ahsoka are all going to lead towards a confrontation with Grand Admiral Thrawn. Because they did say that these three shows will intersect.
Yeah. Definitely, I mean, just to talk about that, so Rangers of the New Republic, so yes, set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, this new live-action series from executive producers Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will intersect with future stories and culminate in a climatic story event. So I wonder if, obviously, I get the impression Ahsoka's going to focus on Ahsoka, who we've seen in Mandalorian Season 2, and she's very much after information about certain things, Thrawn, and that to us leads her to Ezra and how she got Sabine, things like that. And then obviously this Rangers of the New Republic, to me, I wonder if they're actually talking about what Trapper Wolf and I can't remember and him, what they're doing in the Outer Rim.
I'm really, because obviously at the end of chapter 4, was it 4? I think it was 4. obviously he talks to Cara Dune and he says people in the core worlds don't think there's anything going on here, but these incidents with like Imperial Remnant are too coincidental. He says something along those lines to be just like a coincidence. So it leads me to believe that obviously I think they will follow the Imperial Remnant side. Ahsoka will follow the Grand Admiral side. The Mandalorian will do its own thing as well. And then obviously they'll intersect for like, I don't want to say it because it's Star Wars, but for like an Avengers type thing on Disney Plus.
Well, imagine this, imagine we'll get season 3 Mandalorian, this series of Rangers of the New Republic and the Ahsoka series, and it all ties into like one big event where like Thrawn comes back, kills Moff Gideon, takes his place as head of the Imperial Remnant, and then it's sort of like Ahsoka, the Rangers, and Mando versus Thrawn and what's left of the Seventh Fleet.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, obviously we need to wait to see what happens on Friday because obviously we don't know what the finale of Mandalorian season 2 is going to be. Will we get a Thrawn? Will we see Thrawn? Obviously, last season they teased us with the Darksaber to get us talking for another year. I tend to believe we'll have another thing like that at the end of season 2 to get everyone talking for another year to go, oh, what's going to happen here? So I wonder if like the last image of the season 2 of the Mandalorian will be like maybe Gideon's defeated, and then it'll find out. Obviously, we see Thrawn or something. But I tend to believe if these 3 shows are leading to an event, and she's mentioned Grand Admiral Thrawn, then they have to be leading towards something with Thrawn. Who better to lead the Imperial Remnant? It's very heir to the Empire, which obviously is where Thrawn came from. That was his first introduction to Star Wars, is heir to the Empire. And I could just see it obviously leading towards a confrontation with Grand Admiral Thrawn. Rangers of the New Republic is... I'm excited for Rangers of the New Republic because I don't know whether it means like Rangers like on the ground or... I get the impression that Dave, obviously Trapper Wolf, and Carson Teva are just... Obviously, at this point, the New Republic's demilitarized. They don't have the numbers that they used to have when it was obviously the Rebellion or like in the year after Endor, where they had to defeat the Empire. So I get it, the fact that maybe there's a couple of X-Wings that patrol this lane, a couple of X-Wings that patrol this lane. So it will be quite cool to see who these Rangers are going to be. So, yeah, it looks... Yeah, we don't really know. Obviously, it's set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, and that's it. But obviously, if Dave and John are directing, obviously doing the story for Mando, Rangers, and Ahsoka, then they're all going to intertwine with each other. They're all going to have links to each other, like I said. And it's all going to... A climactic story event has to me, it sounds like, obviously, with Thrawn building up his resources through the... what was her name? The Magistrate. It all seems very heir to the Empire
correct,
to me.
Yeah, so I think very intriguing that like sort of these 3 series are now going to intertwine. I think for me, I probably wouldn't be that bothered about this Rangers of the New Republic, but because they've said it's going to intertwine and it's there for a reason to sort of tell a wider story of what's happening in The Mandalorian, and then it's going to coincide with Ahsoka and Mandalorian coming together, I think like it's now very exciting all of a sudden. And like I said, depending on what happens in Mando at the end of the season, which is this Friday, our theories could be very different.
Yeah, 100%. It could all change by Friday and we'd be like, oh, we were wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Or we could have even wilder ideas because of what happens in that episode.
Definitely, yeah. Because like I said, they teased us with the Darksaber at the end of season 1. They're going to tease us with something else to get us talking for another year. Because obviously it's another year. It'll be this time again next year. We'll get Mando season 3. So, yeah, very exciting. Like I said, there was obviously the Netflix shows for Marvel. There was Daredevil, Iron Fist, Punisher, and all that type of thing. And they led to the Defenders. So I'm guessing it's that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I definitely agree with that. I think it's going to be very exciting. I mean, even if it doesn't even lead to a series, but it leads to like a movie, that's like probably wouldn't air in cinemas, but like maybe or maybe just a 4-part television drama.
Yeah.
That ties them all together at the end, like a
A
special
bit like
event.
the Clone Wars, the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars, that was basically an event.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And they've done it so well with Clone Wars.
Plus it's Dave and John, so they'll,
why wasn't
like
do
I said,
it again?
along with Patty Jenkins for Rogue Squadron. Excuse me. It's Dave and John, so they'll smash it.
Definitely. So moving on from that, we have the announcement of Orlando. Everyone's favourite scoundrel, Orlando Calrissian, will return in a brand new event series for Disney Plus. I'm assuming when they say event series, they mean it's like
I think that's what they're
one-off production at the moment. So Justin Simeon, creator of the critically acclaimed DIY People, who's also a huge Star Wars fan, is developing the story. And we got that.
This is the one that should have been called the Calrissian Chronicles.
Yeah. But I wonder if it's going to be like, is it going to be Billy D. Williams? Is it going to be Childish Gambino? Is
I've
it going
seen
to be
that
a
theory
mix of
banded
both
around
of them?
online. I like that theory that obviously it will be Billy D talking about stories from his youth, and then it obviously be because they didn't announce Donald Glover's returning in this, which I have to believe he will be. I can't believe they would do a Lando series and then recast it again. So I would love it to be like obviously Billy D telling stories about his youth, and then obviously we see it through Donald Glover, who did a great job as Lando in Solo.
Yeah, so one of my favourite episodes of the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, which was a TV series Lucasfilm produced in the 90s, was when Harrison Ford come back and he was like telling a story, I believe, in one of the episodes. And it flashed back to like the young Indiana Jones who'd been playing Indiana Jones for that season. And it was like blew my mind as like a teenager. So I have fond memories of that. So if this is going to be Billy D. Williams in a bar or playing sabak in a casino or in a cantina, and he's telling stories while he's playing cards, and then it flashes back to Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, doing the adventures. I'm all for that. 100%. That would be absolutely fantastic. I definitely can't see them recasting Donald Glover, so I think it's either Billy D. Williams as Lando, or it's Childish Gambino as Lando, or it's both. I can't see it.
Maybe they've got it nearly
99%
done. They just don't have Donald Glover nailed down 100% yet. Like I said, like I can't see it just being Billy D because obviously he's up there in age now. I'm not sure what you could do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't see them. I mean, no one will be signing on this yet because he's still developing the story. So Justin Simeon is still developing the story. Yeah. So they're not going to sign actors to like contracts, new ones that are like when there's no story yet. I mean,
I was
for a fact they probably got 3 movie deals anyway. Off when they come back. Obviously, these aren't movies, so they might need a bit of renegotiation. But other than that, I think obviously they won't announce. Obviously, the Kenobi series is ready to go, so now they've announced Hayden.
Yeah,
but like this is not ready to go yet. They've got a logo and they've got someone who's developing a story. So obviously that story needs to be fully developed first. Gets greenlit next. Because again, this show probably hasn't been green. If they're still developing the story, to me, the production hasn't been greenlit yet. Obviously, the development has been. And I hope it will lead to a greenlit production. But yeah, like they're not going to be announcing actors in this when they're still at the very early stage at the moment, in my opinion, anyway, of how
definitely,
how that
mate.
works.
Yeah, like I said, I would love it to be both of them. Obviously, pay respect for Billy D, and like I said, Donald Glover nailed it as Lando in Solo. He like you could just see him being a young Lando Calrissian. He was really good. So yeah, I could see it being both. And like you said, once the story is obviously fully developed, they'll announce that Donald Glover's returning and maybe Billy D. Williams is returning as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. Obviously, don't know a lot about it. Loved Billy D. He's a legend, and obviously Donald did a great job in Solo. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The logo looks really cool. One nitpick about that, like they should have called it the Calrissian Chronicles, but that's just my personal taste. Yeah.
Well, they could still change that if it's still in development.
It's just sometimes I like a series to be a bit more imaginative with the name. Sometimes, like obviously Lando, it's a bit on the nose. Even if you called it the Lando Calrissian Chronicles, people would still get, oh, Lando Calrissian. So yeah, but obviously if it's Donald Glover, everyone will watch it anyway because people love Donald Glover. Yeah, he is.
Well, the guy's a genius. How do you feel about, so let's say Lando comes out and is fantastic, wins everyone over. How do you feel about a Han Solo cameo and leading into a sort of a Han Solo series? And then we've essentially got Solo
I think
2.
they'll test the waters with Lando. And then I would find it very weird if Alden didn't come back just as a cameo type thing. Obviously, they work in the same field, like being a smuggler and all that type of thing. I'd love to see I know he's in everything at the moment, but I'd love to see the bounty hunters in this, like the Boba Fett's, the Dengars, the IG-88s, and that type of thing. It was that type of crime thing. So yeah, I could see obviously Alden being in it at some point.
Definitely. And how about
makes sense?
Emilia
If it's in that same time frame, it would definitely make sense. For Kira, who obviously we don't know her fate after Solo, she was off to Dathomir to work with Maul. And then the next time we see Maul after that, he's stranded on Malachor. So there is definitely a story that I'm waiting to be told. So yeah, I could definitely see Emilia Clarke being in it. I could see anyone from Solo being in it, really. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
And then moving on from that, obviously the show that's already been announced, Andor, a tense nail-biting spy thriller created by Tony Gilroy, who of course directed the extra shoots on Rogue One, is set to arrive on Disney Plus in 2022. Diego Luna, reprising the role of a rebel spy, Cassian Andor from Rogue One, will be joined by a fantastic new cast that includes Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Fiona Shaw, Denise Gow, Kyle Soller, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, of course. And someone who's not mentioned in the press release, but I would imagine that
I think they confirmed that, didn't they? A while back. I'm sure they confirmed that he's back.
Yes. Yeah, so they confirmed that a while back, but then have left them off the press release this time around. Production kicked off 3 weeks ago in London. And of course, they released a sort of a set behind the scenes, little sneak peek of Diego Luna chatting about it and also showing you a few scenes. Well, not scenes, but setups from the production.
It looks very. Obviously, they were talking about it in the thing, and they say it's no different to a major motion picture. So, and they're not using the volume for this. So obviously, this one will take longer to do. That's why they tend to have the quick turnaround for the Mandalorian seasons because they use the volume. But they are building. I think Kathleen Kennedy said that they're building a volume, obviously in London, LA, and somewhere else to go. So, because they do a lot of shooting for Star Wars at Pinewood in the UK. So I'm guessing they're building a volume at the Pinewood Studios.
Yep. I would imagine so. If they're not, maybe they're building their own just around the corner. But yeah, this production looked like, obviously it was at Pinewood. They were shooting a lot of sets, sort of quotes from Neil Scanlan. He was there. All the big shots from the production side of the movies were working on this. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I feel it's going to be very much like a little bit like Captain America Winter Soldier, like spy, espionage, thriller vibes.
Obviously, Tony Gilroy wrote as well. Did he write the Bourne series?
I believe he wrote the scripts. He was part of the writing team on the movies.
Rogue One,
and obviously he was also. He directed the reshoots on Rogue One. On that one as well, so he sort of very knows these characters very well. For me, I'm excited. Obviously, anyone who played, who managed to get to the Void and do Secrets of the Empire, which is like a ILM Labs sort of VR cross between VR and Laser Quest, laser tag thing, where you sort of sneak into Vader's castle. on a mission for Cassian Andor. It sort of has vibes of that going on. So quite, and Diego Luna come back and actually shot scenes for like the beginning of that. If anyone's ever played it, he sort of gives you the mission himself before you board the spaceship and the shuttle that's going to take you to Mustafar. So yeah, this guy obviously loves the character, loves Star Wars. Who can forget the way he used to love the word Jabba in the promotion material for Rogue One? So yeah, sort of very excited for the Andor series. I'm glad, this is the one that's shooting right now. So this one's the one we can almost taste. Like I said, we've got behind the scenes looks at certain setups from the show there, which is available on the Star Wars YouTube page as well. But yeah, just fantastic. Does this one feel more real to you, Reed?
Yeah, now that we've seen obviously
it's actually started production.
Sizzle reel, they call it. We've seen the sets, we've seen the costumes, we've seen like concept art of where he could be going. Yeah, definitely it feels more real. It's only like obviously we're nearly the end of 2020 now, so yeah, it's probably over just about a year away. I wonder if it'll drop like early 2022 because I'm guessing. Depending on if the Mando comes back for a fourth season, I'm guessing the Mando will drop the normal time in 2022. If it's season 4, that'll drop like around October. So maybe it will drop it early. Me, I'd love like Marvel. Obviously, Marvel did their presentation. They're pumping shows out next year. I think one's in March, one's in May, one's in June. Because obviously they've got time to make up for them. So, yeah, I could see this dropping early 2022.
Oh. So Mando season 3 is coming Christmas, they've said. So it's December. Yeah. So
yeah.
2 months later than what we used to. That's what they've said. So I don't know what that means. All Mandos will go to December, or maybe maybe season 3 is the end of Mando. But yeah, so that's coming December. And then obviously we've got Bad Batch at the beginning of 2021, I believe. But we'll get that in a bit. So next show is The Acolyte. So we finally know what Leslie Headland's been working on. The Emmy Award-winning nominated creator of the mind-bending series Russian Doll. Brings a new Star Wars series to Disney Plus with The Acolyte. The Acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take the audience into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. So straight away, sort of the High Republic publishing initiative comes from Lucasfilm. That's across books, novels, comics, young reader books, young reader comics. Sort of, this is going to tie into the end of that, which is fantastic. This is a show I'm most excited about because I'm excited to learn about the dark side of the Force and some of the secrets. Maybe we're going to learn about some Sith Wayfinders. Maybe we're going to learn about Sith priests. Maybe we're going to learn about Sith.
Obviously, yeah, because it says the dark side powers are just emerging. So obviously, at this point, the Sith would have been. I think the High Republic era ends about 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, so I'm of the
belief obviously we get the line in the Phantom Menace from Ki-Adi-Mundi saying the Sith have been extinct for a millennium because obviously it's about 1,000. It's 1,000 years the Sith have been quote unquote gone, even though they've obviously survived and they've been working in the shadows for 1,000 years to have their revenge. So yeah, obviously I could see it.
Yeah,
The Acolyte. Obviously, I think they said a while back it's obviously going to be a female-led show. So maybe the Acolyte is the Sith Lord of the time, and maybe she takes on a young, well, maybe not young. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how old he lives. But obviously, we might see Darth Plagueis in this point because obviously, if it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace, and we could obviously get a bit more Darth Plagueis in canon. I have to believe we'll see Darth Plagueis at some point in the show. But this show really intrigues me. Like I love dark side stuff. We don't obviously get enough of it in Star Wars, all very hush-hush. We got a bit of it in Rise of Skywalker. We've seen bits and bobs in Rebels and that type of thing. But I love a show dedicated to the dark side. Is really cool. And I'm sure they said a while back it's obviously going to be like hand-to-hand combat type of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, if these acolytes are going to be using like Terakasi maybe using some martial arts, which would be fantastic. For me, I'm glad we don't know much about it, but what they have revealed has got me very excited. Like I said, dark side artifacts and secrets are very appealing to me. We don't get a lot of them, but when we do, they're done really well. So, for example, the Clone Wars arc, where we learn about Sifo Dyas, when they find his crash ship and his lightsaber, and they begin to investigate. When Yoda goes to Moraban, in his final arc, in Rebels, like I said, when Ezra and Maul are at the temple and manage to open it up and steal the Sith holocron. And then again in Rise of Skywalker, when we're diving into sort of this idea of the Sith Eternal and of the Wayfinders. So it's been dealt with very sporadically, but the little sprinklings we've had have been really, really sort of juicy, and we want more of it, and hopefully we're going to get a lot more of it in this show. So they haven't said when that's coming, but I mean, if that's the next series to come, like that'll be absolutely fantastic.
It doesn't really have a date.
So, like, she was like the third series announced, wasn't she? Obviously, we didn't know what it was, but obviously we had Mando, we had Andor, and then they announced that Leslie Headland was working on a show. Was like the third thing announced. So for me, I hope it comes out that way. I hope that's the one after Andor that we get.
The one that's intrigued me the most.
And then moving on from that, we've got Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which we did get a sizzle trailer for. The series follows an elite and experimental clones of the Bad Batch, who obviously first introduced in the Clone Wars, as they find their way in a rapidly changing galaxy in the immediate aftermath of the Clone Wars. So I think, like, I love the trailer. It was like Clone Wars logo burned into the Bad Batch logo. Like, that's not hide what this show is. Like, it's essentially a sequel to Clone Wars. Clone Wars ended with Order 66 happening and the Empire being born. That was the very end of Clone Wars. This is going to pick up with, like, well, guess what? The Empire is here now. And what does it mean for those who survived? I love the sizzle reel. Didn't give you any story away, but showed you loads of cool stuff. I love the fact we had Palpatine in there as well. So obviously one of the taglines is that they will take on daring mercenary missions as they struggle to stay afloat and find new purpose. So it looks like maybe they don't get affected by Order 66, no one comes to kill them. But now they're not soldiers anymore, so what do? And they're struggling to stay afloat, both money-wise, and also struggling to find a purpose, because the purpose was to win the war, and the war's now over. And I wonder if we'll see them, like, being like bounty hunters, mercenaries, being like heroes for hire, almost like the A-Team type of thing going on, maybe, in the first few episodes. Then I would have to turn into them realising that the Empire's bad, actually. We might join a rebel cell
definitely.
Against the Empire.
Bounty hunters, we obviously see Fennec Shand in the trailer.
Yeah, so we see her, obviously, a helmet, which was a big part of one of the episodes of Mandalorian that had been out recently. We see someone wearing the exact same helmet, which to me says that is Fennec Shand.
There's so much like to see in this trailer. Obviously, we see the Palpatine speech from Revenge of the Sith as a different perspective, because obviously the clones are back on Kamino. I'm guessing the clones after that get cast out. Really, they're not really bothered anymore. The Empire, they've used them for their purpose. So it'd be quite a good show to see. Obviously, how the clones react to that. I'm guessing some will be pro, some will be not against the Empire. The animation looks just as good, if not a little bit better, than the Clone Wars Season 7. So obviously they've put a lot of money into it, a big budget animated thing, and it looks really good. I think we'll get it. I think they're on about releasing that early 2021, so that's not even that far away. It'd be good to have something else to watch. Between February and
do you think we'll get that in February?
Yeah, we'll get that round there that time. So I'm thinking the only two. Sorry, mate.
And how many?
I'm not quite sure, to be fair.
How many episodes do you think we're going to get?
I don't know if it'll be like the old Clone Wars series where we used to get like 20 episodes, and I'd be happy with that.
I'll be very happy with 20 episodes. I hope it is more towards 20 than it is 10. I hope we do get towards 20. Would be fantastic.
I think there was 20 odd episodes in the first series of the Clone Wars, so there's no reason why they can't do it. So I would be more than happy, yeah. And then obviously if we get one a week, that keeps us going for a while. Gives us like Star Wars to enjoy every week. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm really looking forward to it. It's one of my favourite eras in Star Wars. Is just after Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, we start seeing the Empire come to power and the power vacuum that creates. So yeah, and obviously I'm probably believe we'll see a few Jedi in it that have survived. The Quinlan Vosses, the Oppo Rancises of the world. Maybe we might see them. See the bounty hunters. Obviously, if they're going to become like soldiers of fortune, like you said, the A-Team, we're going to see bounty hunters. And maybe see Cad Bane again. Maybe they might use that repurposed Clone Wars episode with Boba Fett to see the Cad Bane arc. Because, like I said, obviously the Clone Wars is called the Clone Wars, but we still have other stories with other characters. So I wonder if that'll be like the case with this.
I think so. I think we want to see a lot of other characters. So yeah, I'm very excited for it. The next one is Star Wars Visions, presenting all new creative takes on a galaxy far, far away. Star Wars Visions will be a series of animated short films celebrating Star Wars through the lens of the world's best anime creators. The anthology collection will bring 10 fantastic visions from several leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars. So I love the idea of this. I would say a collection of 10 movies, not necessarily long movies, but like short animated movies. And it could be about anything, any era of Star Wars, is my understanding. So we could get one about the Jedi, one about the Sith. We could get one about gangsters, one about Tusken Raiders, one about pod race drivers. It really could be anything and everything.
To be honest with you, I'm not the biggest anime fan, so this is probably the show I'm looking forward to the least. I'll still watch them, but I'm not really a fan of anime. I've never really watched most of it, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go. At first, I thought it was just going to be like a retelling of stories we've seen, just in anime form. But if it's going to be like new stories, then yeah, I'll definitely watch it. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of anime, so yeah, for me this was just like, okay, it'll be a cool little show, and I'll still watch it. But yeah,
I think what's cool is that obviously with them being short films, even if it's not what you're used to watching normally, it's not too long. So you'll be able to digest it nicely. And like I said, maybe I might have some mind-blowing ideas in there about the Force or about the Jedi, the Sith, or like I said, about...
I'm still gonna watch it, yeah, but it's just
knows,
I've never really been a big fan of the anime style. But like I said, if it's new stories, I'll still watch them, and I'll probably end up loving them anyway.
Yeah, for me, sort of the description reminds me of a bit of like the idea behind, from a certain point of view. Like we're getting these sort of 10 stories that like going to be different. Like it's canon, but like, have you thought of it this way before? So sort of very, very exciting for that. And then last but not least, we have a droid story. As Lucasfilm continues to develop new stories, the intersection of animation and visual effects offers new opportunities to explore. Lucasfilm Animation will be teaming up with Lucasfilm's visual effects team, Industrial Light and Magic, to develop a special Star Wars adventure for Disney Plus, a droid story. This epic journey will introduce us to a new hero, guided by legendary duo R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Me too.
This was my least favourite one. It was a bit like... Sounds fun. A cross between animation and ILM. I don't know if they're trying to make like a sort of a VR experience, or is it just going to be like a crazy cross between animation and 3D animation? I don't know. No story points. Obviously, you know for a fine fact Anthony Daniels will be C-3PO, I'd imagine, so the gravy train continues. Obviously, we do get to see R2-D2 and C-3PO back in action, which is fantastic. Obviously, love those guys. but yeah, I can't see the story being too mental. When I first saw the words "a droid story," my first thoughts went to that cancelled animated series by Seth Green and the guys over at Robot Chicken, which was called I can't remember what it's called now.
I
Detours,
haven't
is that
really heard
right?
about that, mate, to be fair.
Star Wars
Not
Detours.
quite sure.
So I'll just quickly Google it. So essentially, before the merger happened, the guys from Robot Chicken, because George loved Robot Chicken, he loved the Star Wars Robot Chickens. So these guys had pitched this Star Wars Detours animated series. And they like finished it. But then when the merger happened, like they just never released it. So it's in the can. So it was like obviously because George loves like fun, and believe it or not, although George like loves Star Wars and created it and knows it can be taken seriously, he also knows that you can also make fun of it. So yeah, Star Wars Detours is an unaired American CGI animated comedy series. It was produced by Lucasfilm Animation in collaboration with Robot Chicken, created as Seth Green and Matthew Senwright. Although roughly 2 seasons of the show exist, they've never been released to the public since the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012. The show has been on hiatus to allow Lucas Animation to focus on other projects. So
It'd be
let's have a look. So in November, so this November, that's just finished, a 6-minute episode titled Dog Day Afternoon was leaked on the internet. The episode features Zuckus in Forlorn, played by Andy Richter and Weird Al Yankovic, attempting to rob Dexter's diner. Lando Calrissian, Boba Fett, and Jabba the Hutt also appear, so you might be able to still find that if it leaked. So for me, that series is sitting in the can, finished. So depending on who it was finished for, I don't see why that can't appear on Disney Plus. I mean, it's not this show. It's not a Droid Tale, but that was a Droid Story, and that was my first thought was to this series because I had heard about this series. This series is, like I said, 2 seasons and it's got 39 episodes produced. But it's not a Droid Story. But if you tell us about a Droid Story or the Star Wars Detours, I'm more excited about Star Wars Detours, to be honest. Some of the voice casting involved in the Star Wars Detours: Seth Green, D. Bradley Baker, obviously from Rebels and Clone Wars, Anthony Daniels, obviously, Ahmed Best, Billy Dee Williams, Seth MacFarlane, Felicia Day, Zachary Levy, Catherine Tabor, Cree Summer, Donald Faison, Nat Faxon, Joe McHale, Weird Al Yankovic. It's quite a big voice cast there as well. So obviously that's not been announced, but that was what I first thought about when I saw that a Droid Story. Before I started reading into it, I was like, oh, is that Droid Detours thing? But no, it's not. But yeah, it makes you think the amount of stuff that's sitting unfinished.
Yeah, obviously the big ones that
finished
Star
but
Wars
not
Underworld,
available.
that was going to be the TV show that they developed before, obviously, the merger. Apparently all the scripts are done for that and that thing. They've got 50 scripts done. And obviously we saw that footage that was leaked. So obviously that's there. So, yeah.
The test footage, yeah. I think other problem with that one was, at the time, streaming isn't what it is now. So finding somebody to finance $10 million episodes was impossible at the time. Obviously, once you see how popular streaming is, and now you've got Disney owning the company, it's very easy to spend that money. But back then, it was finding people that actually want to get on board with that was very difficult. So which out of all the announcements are you looking forward to the most then?
There's 2 different ones. I'm most looking forward to The Acolyte, just because it's dark side. We don't know anything about it. It sounds really cool. But literally most of the ones that we know about, most looking forward to Obi-Wan for obviously Hayden to come back with Vader and all that type of thing. It sounds crazy. Rogue Squadron sounds really good, and Ahsoka. They're probably my top 3 at the moment. But then the newer ones I'm more intrigued about, like Rangers of the New Republic and The Acolyte. So yeah, you, mate?
Yeah, I think The Acolyte's definitely the most intriguing one for me. that's the one I'm sort of most excited about, finding new things out about the dark side. For nostalgia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, getting Hayden back, loving that. And then obviously Patty Jenkins coming to direct the Star Wars film about X-Wings. Again, like, what a time to be alive, as we see all the time here on the show. It is the golden age of Star Wars, and Kathleen Kennedy certainly proved that with this presentation at the Disney Investors Call.
100%, mate, yeah.
Just a few things to mention, other Lucasfilm stories. So Lucasfilm is currently in pre-production on the next installment of Indiana Jones. James Mangold's directing. He obviously directed Ford versus Ferrari, which was called Le Mans 66, I think, in this country. And he obviously directed Logan, I believe. So yeah, he's done some great movies there. Obviously, Harrison Ford will be back to play Indiana Jones, perhaps for the last time. That's going to start shooting in 2021 spring.
All right.
It's going to be in cinemas by July 2022, I reckon. So maybe, yeah. And then we also have Willow coming to Disney Plus. So that's a new series based on set decades after Ron Howard's 1988 film. Warwick Davis returns as a title character. Willow Good. John Chu's directing The Pirate, apparently. So he did.
Is it a show or a film?
Crazy Rich Asians, which is very good. So Willow's a movie.
Yeah, I know Willow's a movie, but obviously this new show. Willow is a show. Yeah.
Yeah, so directing the pilot is John Chu. So yeah, the pilot episode's been directed by this gentleman. And it's going to shoot in Wales, and that's going to debut in 2022 as well on Disney Plus. Then last thing, finally, the Lucasfilm catalogue is expanding further with a story that will introduce a new hero and explore an original world that feels perfectly paired with Lucasfilm storytelling. So it's based on a best-selling novel, Children of Blood and Bone. The story will centre around a young African girl's heart-racing quest to restore magic to her forsaken people, the Magi. Lucasfilm will partner with 20th Century Studios for this upcoming of age adventure. So yeah, good to see sort of the not just doing Star Wars. Obviously, we love Star Wars, what about Star Wars, but good to see that. You know, when George had Lucasfilm, yes, it did Star Wars, but it also did things like obviously Indiana Jones in our production of Lucasfilm. There was a I can't remember what it's called now. It was like a World War II fighter movie. What was it called? Red Plains or something? I'll quickly Google it. Red Tails. So yeah, Lucasfilm produced a movie called Red Tails in 2012, and it's about the Tuskegee Airmen in the African American United States Army forces during World War II. So yeah, good to see that like they're still broadening the company and doing things that aren't just Star Wars. Obviously, another one that George is very proud of was Strange Magic, which sort of was finished just as the merger happened and is available on Disney Plus now, I believe. And that's actually directed by Gary Rydstrom from Lucasfilm. So yeah, it's good to see this still following in George's vision of like not just obviously a lot of Star Wars, which is great for us, but also not just Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, a fantastic storyteller is a fantastic storyteller. So if they've got these fantastic storytellers in the company, and that's not just writers, directors, but that's also from concept artists to graphic designers to creature concept people to the sound guys, like they're all brilliant storytellers. So they can tell great stories in all different kinds of mediums and all different times of worlds.
3 Star Wars animated shows that are in pre-production, but obviously haven't been announced yet. Apparently, one's a High Republic animated show, and then there's 2 more that apparently, and there's apparently another couple of Star Wars live action projects that are in pre-production. Or like apparently the Boba Fett one is happening; they're filming it now. So why they didn't announce it, I don't know. But apparently there is a Boba Fett show coming. And apparently they're filming it now, so whether they're waiting for the end of Mandalorian Season 2 to announce it. But there is other stuff coming as well that obviously wasn't announced. So, yeah, it's an exciting time.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
No, me
I
neither,
wasn't
to be
expecting
fair.
this much to get announced. But I think they've obviously, HBO Max is sort of floundering in the States. It's got its critics who don't like it. And I think Disney Plus is saying, let's strike while we can. We've got all this content in production. This is
Just all
going
the
to be
stuff
the
Marvel
most
announced as
premium
well.
streaming service you can get. Yeah, so I think they're coming with the big guns.
Well, they've already got.
And they're
They
coming
were
to
saying
sort
they've
of
already got
take over.
86 million subscribers, and it's only been going a year. That's not bad.
Definitely not bad, mate. 100%. Yeah. My worry is I just hope they don't put all the Star Wars stuff under
Yeah, probably
another
will
price
come one
tier
day and we'll all
and
win,
charge
but
them
we'll
more
pay it.
for it.
That's the thing with Disney. We'll all pay it.
Well, 100%. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll definitely rather pay it because remembering
And
back
Clone
to our
Wars.
days here in the UK, the Mandalorian season 1, where we didn't have access, wasn't good. And like I said, I always said I would pay over the odds for it, and I said certainly will. Any other news stories
Nothing I
you
can
want to talk
think of,
about,
mate,
Ian,
to
or
be
any other
fair.
Star
I'm
Wars related
just
things you want to chat about?
having a think now. No, I think we got all the news we can handle this week, to be fair.
Yeah, obviously, like you listeners out there, do not worry. We are very aware that we are behind on all the Mandalorian season 2 review shows.
Mad.
I think both our works have been quite crazy, haven't they? Ian? Lots of overtime going on, lots of long shifts
Lots
going
of
on.
screaming into your
pay the
pillow to
bills.
try and not murder people you work with.
So,
yeah,
certainly, definitely, mate. Definitely.
The Siege.
So I think our last one
we had
reviewed
the
was
finales
The
this week.
Siege.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So I think we're behind 3 episodes.
Yeah,
but when that one airs will be 4. But we are working on getting those reviews up for everyone. But we made the decision today to talk about the new series that were announced because we thought that was more sort of breaking news. We wanted to talk about them, so it was exciting. Rather than trying to fit like 4 reviews or 3 reviews into one episode.
The Bo-Katan
got any new Star Wars
figure
merchandise
goes
Ian,
live
before
at
we
9
go?
o'clock on Star Action, mate. So I will be pre-ordering that as soon as 9 o'clock comes round. It looks sick.
So I've just seen the figure highlighted by JediNews.com.
Yeah.
But I didn't. The picture looked brilliant. I want the
double check
figure.
that. I've
I
looked
didn't
on
realise it
Facebook
was
earlier.
going
I'm
live
sure
tonight,
they
though, so
said
thank you for the heads up on that.
that it goes live tonight because it's up on the site, but obviously there's no tab to order it yet. But I think I'll just double check now. I'm just going on the Facebook. I wish they had a Twitter page. I hate Facebook. But let's have a look. Yeah, because there's a few more going live. So, yeah, we're going live 6 hours ago. We're going live tonight at 9 p.m. So yeah, obviously this wave has the Bo-Katan Black Series figure, but then they're doing the from the Vault ones, which will be a Shaw Trooper from Rogue One, a Hover Tank Trooper from Rogue One, and a Tusken Raider, obviously from A New Hope, The Mandalorian, Attack of the Clones, everything. Bo-Katan, yeah, same, yeah. That's what I'll be going for.
I probably just want
Bo-Katan.
I've had some. Speaking of Star Action figures, I've had 2 deliveries recently. So I got 3 series from the Gaming Greats Black Series line. I got Jedi Knight Revan from Galaxy of Heroes. He's a beautiful figure in the white robes. I got the Electro Staff Purge Trooper because these were like my worst enemy in the game, Jedi Fallen Order. So I'm glad I got him, and I also got I'm going to pronounce this wrong so you can save us. Darth Nihilus from Knights of the Republic, and his mask looks sick, and the detail on his robes is fantastic as well, and his lightsaber hilt is like almost majestic, Sith-like. Haven't seen it. I can't remember
Knights of the Republic,
but the figure's divine. So I've got those 3. So I mean the figure's sick. I love it. So I got those 3 from Star Action figures, and I got another delivery which were all Clone Wars related. So I got the Mandalorian Loyalist. So he's a sick Mandalorian. He's got the double blasters. He's got the Mandalorian armor on. He's wearing the blue jumpsuit similar to Django. He's got the jetpack, and we've got the 332nd Ahsoka's Clone Trooper. So it's like the 501st, but with the Ahsoka helmet.
Yeah.
It comes with 2 blasters, one of the heavy blaster and the short blaster. The detail on the helmet's beautiful. And then I've actually got, obviously, Ahsoka Tano herself from Clone Wars, where she's wearing the sort of grey-blue Mandalorian jumpsuit, which has the Mandalorian emblem. Sort of that, I don't know how you describe it, that shape in the middle with the 2 blue lightsabers. So that's all arrived from me, and they all look fantastic. So
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I've got.
Yes, I'm really, really happy.
No, to be fair, we're in a bit of a book drought at the moment. The High Republic starts next month. I've already got Light of the Jedi ordered, which obviously a lot of Star Wars YouTubers are reviewing right now. The embargo lifted today or yesterday, and they're all saying it's really good. So I've read the first 8 chapters of that, because they released the first 8 chapters, because obviously it was supposed to be out in August. So just to build hype, they released the first 8 chapters. I've read up to chapter 6, because I don't really want to read all the way through, because then I feel like I've already read like 10 chapters by the time it comes out. But yeah, they're coming out next month, and they from what I've heard from everyone who I like, obviously the YouTubers I like and respect, that they're really good.
So which YouTubers have been chatting about that? Have we had?
Hasn't said anything in particular, but he is giving the impression that he really liked it. And I saw another one as well. I can't remember who it was. I said all the ones I like, but they've said it's really good. But yeah, he's just released a video 2 hours ago. Star Wars Explained. He said, I read the first 3 High Republic books and they're great. So I'll watch that after we've come off here and see what he says.
Good, yeah. I think obviously Alex and Molly do a great job on that channel.
I've got
One
Star
of my
Wars
favourite
Explained,
YouTube channels as well.
Eckhart's Ladder. And what's the other one? I like the Star Wars Reading Club. I like that one. It's obviously quite good to like learn new canon stuff when I haven't got the time to go through all the books and read it. It was my favourite.
You haven't mentioned your favourite?
Oh, right, yeah. And never mind. I got that.
Mike Zero?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking it was my favourite. No, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that one. I'm sorry, mate.
Old fucking Johnny bullshit himself. I've already get some hate for that, mate.
Zero, that's our advice.
Yeah, I was just looking through his videos before we came on, and like every one is just absolute nonsense. YouTube, yeah, because you could just.
It makes me want to start my own.
I've got sources.
Website
Mace Windu is really Darth Vader. Like, there's the proof. And then you watch the video, and it's like you haven't said anything, but it obviously works for the guy. Can't fault that. Big YouTube account.
Yeah, big clicks, loads of clicks.
I suppose it's not hard to make up content when you're just making stuff up. To be
clicks equals cash. Yeah, definitely, mate. That brings an end to our episode, then I believe. Like I said, guys, thanks for tuning in. But hoping to get those Mandalorian reviews coming up soon. Just in case I find the time.
I am on Twitter, Instagram.
Ian, where can people find you on social media?
Star Wars Ian, all lowercase. And that's where you can find me, mate.
Awesome. Well, Ian, again, thanks for joining us. Obviously, it's always a pleasure having the Canon Junkie XL on the show. Obviously, if you listened to this episode at the beginning, you would have heard a trailer for the Dorky Diva show's brand new audio drama, The Adventures of the Zolan Dart. So they've had a big announcement where I think at the end of this week, they're going to be announcing it's no longer going to be coming soon. They're going to announce the release date. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, it's going to be good to see some Star Wars fans creating some cool content. Obviously, the trailer I've loved. Sort of, I'm not really into audio dramas. I haven't really listened to any, but the fact that it's sort of like it's a Star Wars story, but it's not an audio book. It's also got like sound effects and placements of scenes within it. So I'm really excited to check out the whole project when it comes out. So like I said, just go over to the Dorky Diva Show's social medias and the Dorky Diva Show presents.com to read more about that. And like I said, we'll probably announce the release date once they release it as well on our next episode. But Ian, thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Please follow us on Twitter at BorsStar. That's at BORESSTAR. And on Instagram and Facebook at Star Wars Podcast. You can also reach us on email at starborspodcast@gmail.com. The Star Wars Show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and wherever podcasts can be found. Please give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review. May the Force be with you.